you kind of sign up over here, we have little cards that you can fill out. That way we kind of do things in order. So if you'd like to share your comments, please fill out our comment card first, and then we're gonna call on people that have filled out their comment card.
Should we fill it out for Pam? She said she's going to be here a bit late.
So we're going to get started. This is Teresa McNeil, and she's going to start off tonight by doing the smudging. She's going to explain what she's doing.
Good evening. I'm Teresa McNeil, and I'm very involved with the Native Americans. I am not full-blooded in but I am very involved. I was adopted by the Lakota people, by Bernard Ice, passed away in 1975. And he left me all his instruments, sacred instruments. He taught me all I know. I've been doing some dance, going through some dances for 40 years, and I know all the ceremonies. I have been given permission by all the chiefs, Chief Crow Dog, Leonard Peltier, I can't name them all, Wallace Black Elk, Grandpa Wallace, Grandma Lydia Black Elk, just to name a few. Also, I've been involved with the takeover of Wounded Knee. My husband and I were very involved in the 70s. Is this a newspaper? I want the newspaper. I'm going to smudge whenever, I was taught that whenever we say anything about Native Americans, they're very spiritual. And when we say anything or have a meeting like this huge meeting, we need to smudge the area. What I mean by smudging is we use sage, cedar, copal, just herbs. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, a lot of people think that when we smoke the chalupa, which is the peace pipe, they call it a pipe, but it's a chanumpa. And we smoke it to honor the spirits. And so what we're doing is going to smudge the area for anybody that's bringing in bad energy, okay? The bad energy will be dissolved with all these herbs that are medicinal that we use all the time. We use it for ceremonies, for healing, for whatever people want to sponsor. We have lodges in Pierce. We do lodges, red lodges. Anybody's welcome as long as they respect our ways. Bernard Ice and his family had adopted my family into the Lakota Nation. And so I had permission, written permission from all the chiefs to release, to carry the instruments, sacred instruments. So what I'm going to do, I put this in, it's just a little conch, and it has cedar, seagrass, sage, you know, all these herbs. And they're not going to hurt you at all. All you do is just smush yourself. I would like to smush the area so that if there's any negative energy coming in here, it will be dissolved. And we'll have a good meeting. Okay? So I'm going to press it on. The reason I have this little bowl is because it gets hot. Okay? So I'm going to start it. Hopefully the sprinklers don't give us a shower. That's what we worry when we go into a place. And I'll give you the lighter so that if it goes out, you light it. Compassionate Grandfather, I ask you to protect us, to help us in this meeting, to be positive and not be negative in any way. Thank you, Grandfather. Takiasi. Pass it on. Pass it on. No. Pass it on to the left. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them if I can. Nonetheless, Mr. Takashida, which is God. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate it. We're going to go and start out with, introducing, introduction. We have a few speakers tonight. And as this is going on, we need to keep our minds clear as far as everything that's happening in our world. This is really important. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. My name is Joe Molina. This is my place of business, the Joe Molina Gallery and Studios. I've asked everyone to come tonight after a publicized display of cultural insensitivity. 2 local businesses here in Greeley. This isn't a meeting to attack. It's not a meeting to demean them from their apologies. And we have to keep in mind that both have given a very, very public sincerity and apology. We have to take that in mind. And I have invited everybody together to discuss such much more important things that are happening. How we as a community can come together to help educate citizens, business owners, about these sensitive subjects and idealistic beliefs that we're not connected in a way. These cultural appropriations, racial remarks, and statements, and any other demeaning or derogatory remarks that are made, we have to make clear of that. We have to understand that it's happening. How these remarks are even are sometimes those that of us marginalized in a community of Northern Colorado that are feeling it almost every day in our workplace, our shopping, our advertisement, our businesses, our organizations that we are every day trying to apply our daily life. And even unknowingly, everyday citizens do this to one another. How we come together as a business owner and community members and partners and elected officials can call and all agree that we together are a loud voice. And as such, we can build bridges to help Northern Colorado become the more inclusive area for all of us. And we're in it together. We have wonderful speakers coming up. But first, I ask that if you have not signed your inclusivity card, please, if you would like to speak, we have it here up front. And my job is to hopefully facilitate what's happening, to listen to every single voice that wants to say something, respect that, and open up the narrative. Open up the narrative so that we can all start to communicate on that level. Thank you very much. I'd like to first welcome Anna Schultz, who is a board member of NCLF, Northern Colorado Latino Foundation. She is also a part of Greeley Indivisible, a nonprofit community creating engaging community to inform and educate. Anna, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you everybody for being here. And I'm going to do a greeting of the Lakotas use when greeting groups. And it's hello my relatives, because we all are relatives. I'm a member of the Northern Colorado Latino Foundation and also Greeley Indivisible. Both organizations have a goal of educating and empowering. So an incident like this, when a group of people is continuing to be victimized in some ways, especially along this time of the year, either being innocent or not, it's a way to reflect. We should not have this here ever again in our community. We need to have ads and that empower and are positive, especially this time of Thanksgiving. We're coming together as families. And so my message is, let's respect.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. So, I'd like to begin by applauding every one of you for coming out this evening. Looks like we have our recent elected House District 50, Rochelle Domingo here. We have School Board Member Rhonda Solis here. I apologize if I missed anyone else.
City Council, Stacy.
Stacy, sorry, City Councilperson Stacy, thank you very much for coming.
And the DDA also?
We have some members from the DDA. Please stand. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. I know we're going to have some lively discussion here, and I just want to reiterate a statement we have from the Greeley Colorado Latino Foundation. As a co-founder and vice president of the organization, I think this is what we're supposed to be doing in this community, is bringing different voices to the table for open discussion. So this is why we're here. But we also want to have a formal statement that we've created or crafted on behalf of the Colorado Latino Foundation. And we would like to take time to discuss a recent cultural insensitivity for both a local restaurant pizza chain called Right Coast and a very public racist ad they placed in the Bandwagon magazine in Greeley, Colorado. We are saddened by the privilege of Right Coast Pizza and turning this genocide of Native Americans into a very inappropriate display of a derogatory humor. We ask that Bandwagon magazine publisher take the experience seriously and acknowledge their mistake. The Native American community in Greeley is over 1,500 members within our workforce, schools, and neighborhoods. At a time in America where hate crime is on the rise, we at the Northern Colorado Latino Foundation believe and accept and understand as the key to healing. Please do not dismiss these feelings of a marginalized community and take the time to actually understand the root of what is offending people. And let's start this discussion to heal and to learn. Thank you, everyone. I'd also like to introduce Rochelle to say a few words. Please come up.
I was not intending to speak tonight, but I think that it's important that I do say a few words, especially, you know, being born and raised in this community. It's very important that we have leadership here, which is why I appreciate that there are other elected officials being a part of this discussion. I think that it's very important that the discussion is being had. So I understand, you know, mistakes were made, and it's very good that those mistakes were acknowledged, and there were apologies made. And so we're not trying to diffuse any of that. I appreciate that the business owners are here as well. Eli, owner of Bandwagon, and is the owner of Right Coast here? Okay, very cool. So thank you guys for being here. You know, it's just important that we're having this community dialogue. That's something that, as an elected official, as a community leader, is very important to be had. So I appreciate that there are people here to have the discussion. It's important that the insensitivity as far as the publication is acknowledged as well. There's been an underlining racial tension in the community for some time, which is why it's important that we do have a discussion around it. So I just want to thank you all for being here. I'm here to be an observer, to be an open listener, as I hope everyone else is. I hope that all points are shared, and I would hope that everyone would be able to take the time to listen to all sides, because that's the most important part of having this discussion. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you all again. I'm not sure who I'm supposed to introduce next, or if we're going to leave it open as an open mic now. So
Let's go and get CPA up. Colorado People's Action.
all right, there we go. Thank you all.
Thank you everybody for being here this evening. My name is Ananya Astrat. I'm the field organizer with Colorado People's Action. And I just wanted to say, from a lot of the work that we do, trying to mobilize voters, we do run into a lot of subtle and racial tensions that do arise. And as a community, being able to come together and to address some of the issues that we are seeing, I believe is important, and is one of the important steps that we need to take. And I am a little bit like Michelle said, here to listen, and so solicited to provide my own personal life experiences. And I want to give the table up to the next individual, and let's have a very honest and candid conversation this evening. Thank you.
Can we have Eli with bandwagon, please?
Thank you everybody for being here tonight. And my name is Eli Corliss. I'm the publisher here at Bandwagon Magazine. For those of you that are unfamiliar, Bandwagon Magazine is an arts and entertainment magazine based here in Greeley. We distribute all across northern Colorado. We have done so for 7 years. And I think I agree with so much that has been said already this evening, so I'm going to sound like a broken record here. But my client, Justin, my friend, and I are here today to restate our sincerest apology. That's why we're here. We extend that apology to everybody that has been seen this insensitive and ignorant ad. And ultimately, we want you to know that we are truly sorry for making light of a human tragedy. And that's what we did unknowingly. And it's really hard, it's hard to talk about, and I appreciate Joe for opening this dialogue. I appreciate all of you guys for being here. So many of you have extended out to me your personal support and understand what Bandwagon is about. It seems to me that on social media, so much of the comments have been aimed to divide, and it seems to me that that's not the Greeley that I know, and it's not the Greeley that I've been working towards these last 10 years, and it's not the Greeley that so many of you see. So it's really that's the biggest tragedy in my mind, is how I've reflected ultimately on this community. Again, Justin and I are here today asking for your forgiveness, and ultimately hope that we can deserve it based on who we are and what the work that we've done specifically. As a publisher, I do take full responsibility for the content in my magazine, and so that's why I'm here today, is to once again personally apologize to all of you, especially you here in our community, and hope that we can steer the conversation tonight towards a positive outcome. Again, I think the narrative has been so on, for those of you that follow the comments on social media, it's so divisive, and I think that I think we as a community can take this opportunity to have it be a unification, an example of unity. And so thank you all for your time. I welcome more conversation. And once again, just ask for forgiveness.
Thank you, Light. There's a group of us here in the community that have many evening sessions with a one-sided conversation. Never has the individual come out and authentically apologized and sincerely gave their true sense of being in terms of how the community feels. And it took a lot of courage for Eli to come out in this part of town, in this community, to recognize the mistakes that have been happening and really trying to have this dialogue. So thank you again, Eli, for coming out. I think our next person is, we have School Board Member Wanda Solis.
So I think that there's moments that members in our community don't recognize what happens in other sections of our community. So I've grown up here. I graduated from Greeley West. I have been working here for over 29 years in the same office, and I've raised my children here. I have 2 children, a daughter that's 25 and a son that's 28. And when I ran for office, one of the reasons I did that is because of my own experiences when I was a kiddo. My kids' experiences, and even now, their experiences. I'm glad that the DDA is here. I can tell you as an elected official, someone who's never been in trouble with the law, I've been an outstanding citizen here. My kids have the same record. They've done volunteer work, they've never been in trouble. But my son is a graphic design graduate from Ames and loves art. And one of the things he did was he designed his own tattoos and went and got those done. To this day, there are places downtown that won't let him in. The only times he's been able to enter is when a Caucasian girl, friend of his, said, "Oh, I know him, he's okay." That's the only time he's been allowed to go in. And there are still times on a weekend, you can go this next weekend down there, and he will be turned away. This kid has never been in trouble. He works with kids, passes a background check, and yet he still has these gut punch moments in this community where he grew up, and his mom is an elected official. So I know that there's people that think this wasn't a big deal. And it's not to give you guys the whole weight of all this history that has happened in this community. Our point was it happens over and over and over again. Think of the feelings that you have just from this one incident as adults and what it's felt like for you. Now think of our young people that are in this community who face that every day.
Exactly.
Who are labeled gangbangers, who are labeled illegal aliens. We have a large Muslim group here. There are adults that are angry that they're here. And I, as a school board member, have to go back and make sure that our district lets every kiddo know that we care about them. And whatever happens outside of these school walls, you are safe here. We love you, we care about you, you can learn, and we want to be part of that. That's not the message that they get in our community. And that's a conversation that really needs to happen. And it makes people uncomfortable. It really makes people uncomfortable, which is why we don't have it. But it's these instances that keep coming up time and time again that brings a lot of these same faces together in frustration, reliving the pain of our own experiences here in this community. I remember being followed around in the mall, in the grocery store. I know the tones, I know the looks, I know the code words. We know those not because we're taught, but it's from our experiences here. And our kids know the exact same thing. We raise our kids to prepare them for those gut punch moments, for no matter what they do right, everything, there will still be those moments that someone will look at them and treat them a different way because of the color of their skin. And we as parents have to prepare them for that. And it's heart-wrenching. And so what I ask of you, which I appreciate both of you being here, is to be part of the conversation, to be allies with us in working to address this, because it's a tough crowd out there, I can tell you. We've been doing this for years, and it's a really tough crowd. And the way the environment is right now nationally, it's even worse. It happened here in 2006 when the raid happened. We as Latinos felt the racism, but when that raid happened, they didn't care anymore. It was in your face. They said things to us that were just horrible. And we noticed it happened again when President Trump got elected. We as a school board had to make sure that we put out a proclamation to assure our families and reassure our kids that we were going to protect them the best way that we could. And that nothing changes on our end. They're our kids. We don't ask them for their documentation. They're our kids to educate. And I'm hoping that we can really work with the community to make sure that all our kids feel that way, whether they're in our schools, in our stores, in our restaurants, but it's going to take all of us. And it's going to take strong allies that are white. So we ask to work with you. Thank you for being here, and I hope this isn't the end of our conversation. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Rhonda. Our next speaker, we have Justin Bogle with Right Coast Pizza.
Just wanted to mainly introduce myself first off. My name is Justin. Was born and raised in Greeley. I'm just kind of give a face to myself and our company. We're not a massive chain. We have 2 restaurants. Been in Greeley, restaurant here for 3 years, happy to be in Greeley. So moving back to town, moving away from work. But born and raised, graduated from Greeley West. And yeah, just what Eli said was, this was just something that was brought to our attention, my attention, and I've had several phone calls with concerned citizens that have really opened my eyes to the hurt we caused, and the fact that we were totally ignorant to the fact is it's disturbing, and we didn't realize the gravity of what we had done. And it's been a tough time, just sitting there thinking, I really hurt all these people, and for something that I was just ignorant to. And I'm really thankful to Joe and everybody here for having a positive environment for us to learn and educate ourselves and work towards making this right. And like I said, words can't express how sorry I am and our business is. And it's just, between, I have employees that are affected by this, and they didn't do anything wrong. And it's terribly sad because it's all on me. And it's just tough. And, going to do everything I can to make this right. I'm really glad that we have a forum to positively educate us and just to help us along. So it's a really unfortunate thing that we did, and anything with my business name on it, it's my responsibility and nobody else's. So I can't point the finger at anybody else. I'm truly, truly sorry. And we just want to be in this community and be positive in this community. But thank you again for everything you shared. Really appreciate it.
I'm going to introduce the next speaker, Stacy Suniga, who's in this ward, in it for our hope that we can start electing more city officials to a position that's going to share our thoughts in our community, that represent equally with equity and parity. Stacy Suniga, please come up and have your word. Thank you.
Thank you. I was alerted of the advertisement yesterday, I believe. And well, I read it, I thought, I'll be honest, I thought, why would someone put this in there? I didn't know, I thought, is it a joke that went wildly wrong? Because I couldn't understand it. I tried, as I learned I was going to speak 30 minutes ago, and I sat there and I thought, can I give some comparisons and really, and I'm not here to begrudge or to belabor the point, but the comparisons to other genocides, I can't even speak words, to be honest with you. Now, I've heard some sincere apologies, some sincere remorse, and that has made my heart glad. And I thank you for that, and I believe you. I've known Ryan for many, many years. When I ran the homeless shelter, when we needed food for the homeless, he was one of the go-tos that we could go to and say, hey, can you send us some food so we can feed these families? And he was up on it and did it every time. But this happened because of rhetoric. And we know that we face rhetoric as people of color, as people of minorities, as gays, lesbians, transgenders. We hear rhetoric that says that we are less than from the top almost every day. And we must stop that. Because rhetoric matters, it's important. I've been in this community for about 47 years, my maternal family for generations. Back in the 60s, there was a time when Mexicans could not even go to the swimming pool and swim with white children. And I'm reminded of this story in my family because my uncles, who grew up here, would have to go swim in sand pits. Because if they went out to the only swimming pool that we had, they were stopped by a sign that said, no dogs and no Mexicans allowed. So they made sand pits their public swimming pool. One day they went out there to have some fun, to have some swimming, and my uncle, who at the time was 9 years old, got caught in some kind of undertow and went down in the water. He had a first cousin who was with him, jumped in to try to save him. Both boys died. So rhetoric means something. Words can cause death. Now again, like I said, I'm not belaboring the point, and I thank you and I applaud you for coming and being so brave and being so remorseful and taking that ownership. But I think we can turn this around. We can use this as a learning moment. More than that, let's use this as a movement that we're not going to accept words that do not edify another person for whatever reason. We are a community and we need to unite. And so I say we start today. We invite these men who have come here and poured their hearts out, they poured their sorrow over the action that was unintended. And now we become a community and it starts here. And we be the example that, okay, something happened, but you know what, we can overcome it. And we're going to overcome this together. And I'd love to see this grow and grow out throughout this community. We need to be one, we need to start unity, and we need to start it today. So thank you very much.
So before I open it up to everyone else who would like to come up and say a few words, one of the roles, or a couple of the roles that the Molina Colorado Latino Foundation provides is this area of civic engagement, and also awareness of inclusivity and diversity. So for many individuals, whether it be business owners or community-based organizations, we do have a really good set of resources that can help in terms of how we do outreach, diversity inclusion. So there are tons of information at that table about the Molina Colorado Latino Foundation, ways to help and support your work moving forward as well. That being said, if anyone else would like to come up and say a few words, you're more than welcome to do so.
Hi, I'm Pam Bricker with the DDA, and I can't thank Joe enough for, and the rest of you who organized this. This is the kind of dialogue we should be having often, not just after a bad incident. And I'm just here to tell everyone that, you know, I'm about ready to give up on Facebook because it is kind of a dangerous thing. We spew, we put things out there, and you know, there's not this kind of dialogue, there's not this kind of understanding, and sometimes it goes way, way, way too far. And so that's why I appreciate this kind of dialogue happening tonight. There were implications that downtown is racist, and everything kind of got lumped in together. And I'm here to say that I'm very happy to be a part of downtown and to live close to downtown, because I think it's this part of our community that have elected some officials here that I'm very happy to see. I think that I am finding, I've lived in Greeley since 1980, and I'm finding the open-mindedness actually starting to change. It's not enough, and we can't stop now, but you know, in my wildest dreams, there's 3 ladies in this room that not that many years ago I didn't think would ever be elected. So I want everyone to realize that there is progress being made, but there's a long way to go for us to all understand each other. I can say that the 2 gentlemen that talked to you are people that I know very well, and I know, you know, we know a lot of people. We can't control what all businesses do in downtown, but I know who the people I can go to that I can count on. And you know, fortunately, they're the ones that made the mistake, as opposed to other people who were posting some pretty nasty things on Facebook that were far more racist than they ever intended to be. And that's what I hate about the dialogue that gets started, and it just gets ugly and it sucks us all in. So once again, I want to thank all of you for what you're doing. I want you to know that the DDA is very committed to diversity in the downtown area. We embrace all the beautiful different businesses that operate down here from many different cultures. We were very involved in the Multicultural Festival that just happened. We were very involved with the Dia de los Muertos Festival. We know that those kinds of things bring people together and to start to learn about each other. So the more things that we can do like this, the better. And if there's any way that the DDA can help foster that relationship, we're here to do that.
Thank you very much, Pam. Appreciate that. Let me tell you, this is kind of a blessing, because I had no idea that moving down here 7 years ago, and then in this place almost 5 years, that it would be a place where people can actually come together, kind of like a sanctuary in a way I would like to call it, but we're not a sanctuary city, we won't go there. But a sanctuary where people can actually voice their thoughts, their opinions. The energy that can be expressed here is neutral. The energy that it can be expressed here is at all levels that we can understand, hopefully, one another. That we're in a human race, not for a race itself, but to come together and say that we are I am. That I am mentality, that we are in it together. I didn't realize how much of a struggle it would be, and I'm not going to go into a negative Debbie Downer of what I've had to experience to get to the point of where I'm at. To open up this forum, to open up the conversations for every single person to feel valid, wanted, supported, why I'm a feminist and support and will employ females first, because of my mother suffering now from all the chemicals that were sprayed on us as a kid, migrant workers. There's a lot of history, Joe Lewis, why I was named that. Understanding that as an adulthood, I didn't realize why we're in place here together to say that we stand together. Now the organizations that we align ourselves with, the people that are starting to come together and realize that a change needs to happen, you know, or what are we doing? The demise of the human race. That's truly in the foresight. Everybody instilling fear. The fear mongers that are saying that you can't do this, you will only do this. I don't accept that. I don't accept it at all. And I hope that people continually have conversations as an open-minded community to say that we can together, that there's no room for hate, that there's no room for belittling at an early age that you will never be. Because education is key. Education is key for every single one of us. But we have to implement that on a business level. Education, political, judicial, everything that is part of our society. We have to be able to implement that. Because if we educate everybody, not have the opportunities to be able to get into that field, then what is there? Lack of more opportunity. There's no competition here. There's no competition on who's better, who's actually trying to survive for a better life for their family. Your purpose in life. Having the basics of humanity, of your job, your spirit, your community, your health and well-being. You're not competing against others because you will never do it the same and they will never do it the same as you will. So don't believe that you're going to take somebody else's job. Don't believe that there's competition, that there's too many of these type of businesses that, oh boy, what can we do to get them out of here? No, that's not happening. We all have a unique ability to be individual if we respect one another. That is our purpose here. That's what I hope that we can do. And I want to leave it with Rochelle Galindo so that after that we can have an open dialogue. And I would like everyone, Renee's going to go ahead and script what's next. Please, thank you very much.
I'll wait for everyone else to speak and then I'll close out. So anybody else that wants to say a few words.
Okay.
Hi, good night. My name is Luis Ochoa, and I'm the owner of Hispano Appliances. I've been in the community for 16 years, and I've been doing service for the whole community. It doesn't care race, doesn't care the color, doesn't care anything. And I'm here to stand for these two guys, because we've been making business for so many years. And I never had any simple experience, any little thing about my race, my color, the way I speak, or who I am. They've been very respectful. They've been very good guys with me, and they've been open to all my ideas and very respectful. And I never hear anything, like I said, anything ever about colors, races, or people from the US or any other country. So, like I say, I'm standing for these guys, and I'm also want to appreciate what these guys are doing, bringing his apologize to the community and the mistake they made. I know it was something completely inoffensive, something like a joke, and unfortunately it doesn't happen in the way they want to. It becomes hurting feelings for so many people. So I'm also feel sorry for what happens, because this affects the community, but I'm also happy because these guys realize that it was a mistake. Okay? Thank you.
Hello,
I'm a Greeley native. I've lived here for 45 years. And my question is, how diverse is your staff? I'm just wondering if you had a more diverse staff, that they might have caught something like this, or maybe you would have had more of an understanding of different cultures such as this, and, you know, reflecting the side of town that your business is on. I grew up on this side of town, and so that was just my question that I had. How diverse is your staff to Justin and Greeley?
Yeah, that's a good question. Great question.
I'll go first. I got a pretty diverse staff. I could not tell you numbers though. I don't pay attention at all, but I mean.
Talk to the mic, please, so that the back there.
Yeah, the staff is extremely diverse here in town, but I never hire based off of it, so I couldn't tell you, but we got pretty much everybody that you could think of as far as races, and the problem was that none of the staff got to see the added, so otherwise I'm sure one of them, multiple of them, would have pointed it out, and after the fact when they did see it, they were outraged with me to say the least. So we definitely have a diverse staff, just lack of showing them beforehand was the issue.
Yeah, to reiterate, Justin's point, I understand the need to feel to ask that question, and I want to reiterate how Justin and I, we certainly believe in equal opportunity employment, equal pay. We don't discriminate based on my conversations with Justin and what I've seen at his restaurant, and certainly in my business endeavors, I don't discriminate on culture, race, or creed. It's not my agenda, and it's not in our hearts, and that's ultimately where, what the message that I want to convey to you, fine folks who are coming out here, is that racism is not in our hearts, and ignorantly, I believe that's why we probably published that ad. We didn't, but we obviously, gravely mistook the meaning of those words. And that's why we're here. And that's why I'm appalled, if I'm being honest.
If you had diversity on your teams, maybe that would help you more.
So I personally employ people of all genders, races, sexes, and that is true of the bandwagon as well as my other business ventures. Whether or not those people are on our creative team, that's irrelevant in my mind. I should have caught it. I'm accepting responsibility, and I am what I am.
That's relevant to other people, though, who are in the community.
Absolutely.
How diverse your staff can be and catch things like that. If you had a brown person working for you, they would have caught that. They would have caught that quick. They would have said, "Hey, check it out, man. That's not going to fly."
Right.
So you got to ask yourself that question: how diverse can you be, or do you want to be, into a community that you? So I don't know if you looked around. You're on the north side. You're on the east side. I mean, a very underdeveloped part of town.
I don't know if you're familiar with me.
I'm not.
But again, it's not.
I mean, I'm looking for when something like this happens. I'm looking for diversity. I'm looking for, hey, who in this team can I talk to? Nobody looks like me, so I can't talk to none of y'all.
Well, I hope that's not true, because my door is open.
Well, you didn't answer the question. How diverse is the bandwagon?
I think he's trying to answer the questions.
I mean, how diverse is it?
Well, it's a very small team.
You answered my question.
It's a very small team, and no, there is nobody.
So get some brown people working on there, then. That's where I'm getting at. Get some brown people on there.
Conversation respectful, sir?
I'm good. I mean, I heard enough.
Hey, it's a valid question. It's a valid feeling.
I heard enough. I'm going to ask the questions that people don't want to. So I'm that guy. I'm that dude. And everybody here knows me.
Well, it's not necessary to ask that gentleman to leave, but I understand.
I'm going to ask those difficult questions.
Understood.
Right. Yeah. Do what you do. Because those are the difficult questions.
So
everybody.
So I although you hire people and you're not looking at that, you're just looking at skill and stuff, you need to understand that there are skills with people of color that they bring to the table that you may not be looking for, but you can benefit from. And this is one of those things that we're talking about, because if there's people on that team at that level, they would have been able to say, hey, this, yeah, no, don't do this. So when you're looking for employees, what he's saying is, that's an additional thing to look at because of the makeup of our community. And if you don't have that pulse, that lens at the table, then you're not going to do that the right way. So that's what his point is. Although I know you're open and you don't really look at color, you're really looking at talent and who's the best for the job, there are extra skills that people of color or lenses that we bring that can help. I think that's the conversation.
Thank you.
So I'm part of my name's Al Bricker, and I'm sort of part of the peripheral music community here in town. And Eli's business at the Moxie is booking every kind of music that you can imagine, okay? There's everybody that he thinks he can sell a ticket for is going to get to play at the Moxie. There's black guys from Southside Chicago come in and play there. There's rappers from LA. There's all kinds of folks. There's nobody in town more open to all kinds of people than Eli is. So that's my perspective.
And I know, and Eli has a very diverse music. So,
Well, and thank you for that comment. You know, I think to the bandwagon's credit, you know, I wish that it was the case that we would be judged on the body of our work and on the hundreds and possibly, I think, perhaps thousands of articles that we publish.
Well, I also read your magazine too, and it's very, you know, and I could tell that it was a mistake because I know you as a person and know you from the community. So I'm glad that you showed up and was very honest and sincere about your.
Yeah, it was one of those where we were so ignorant of the content that we need to show it to everybody else.
It's a small team.
Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend's Native American. She saw when all this came about. It's been a pretty happy house lately. But she was the first one to explain to me how dumb I was, and it was one of those where it's like didn't even think about it, just pure ignorance. And you know, I had somebody in my house who could have easily taught it, but didn't even think about showing it, just pure ignorance.
You know, and I don't think we need to keep apologizing. They've already apologized. They've shown their sincerity. They've shown their integrity.
We'll say a few words if you want to come up in a second, but we have another person.
Thank you guys for being here.
And we'll be coming up to say a few words. Did Lena leave? Did she? Okay, we'll also circle back with that gentleman who made those remarks. We're not trying to minimize anything that anyone said, so we'll circle back with him. But for now,
Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Belinda Quiros, and I don't know if you guys know me or not. I've worked with so many people in this room. I just want to squash what was just said regarding Eli. I've been working on his team with the bandwagon for many years. In fact, he's got an ad in there in this month's issue, which I helped coordinate and help sell. So I am a Latina. My dad is from Mexico and my mom is from Spain. So I get the best of both worlds. I know I look like a güera, but I'm not. So I just wanted to let you know that he has, since I met him, the day that he was looking at the building to buy, he's been one of my very close friends, just like Joe Molina. I've worked with Allison. I think that there's a lot of good in this community, and I think that we have a lot to fix. But we have to do that in a positive way, and it's so much easier when you work with a community that's willing to go as a group instead of pushing against each other, because you don't get anywhere that way. So I just wanted to mention that, and thank you so much for hearing my spiel, and thank you, Joe, for putting this together.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Houston. I am a UNC student. Joe, I thank you for opening up the space tonight to have this dialogue. I think it's extremely important. And I am an advocate for inclusivity and equity, truly. I heard a lot tonight. People who are here and who have been in the Greeley community for many years mirror the fact that, yes, we need to be doing more proactive work. I am sad that we are here for the reason that we're here today. And I don't know if, even after everything that has been said, I can believe that we understand the sincerity of what has happened and how that it is impacting members of the community. I feel very, I wrote a little something and hopefully I can get it out. I'm saddened by the individual who got escorted out for being passionate about what he had to say, about how he felt. I wish he had been more supported in the fact that we are here because people were harmed, and I don't know if you understand the harm you have caused. You spoke too soon for me. You apologized too fast for me. I don't know. Mistakes like that don't happen on accident. That's something that's learned. Racism is learned. It's taught, it's reinforced. I can't accept your apology today. And I can commend you for being here to hear what it is the members of the community have to say, because it's important. And to me, that shows that you're willing to make a change. I hope that you understand it's no one's responsibility to educate you about your history. I hope that this never happens again. I've lived in Greeley for 10 years. It's been great in a lot of ways, in a lot of ways it hasn't been. I haven't always been welcome in all of the spaces I've gone to. And then I found places like this that I can just be me and be welcome. And I'm grateful for that. I have been to the Moxie. I have eaten at all of your restaurants. What I also heard, you coming to share your demographics just diminishes my experiences and the experiences of those you work with. You mentioned that you don't see color necessarily, and that is a very privileged statement. And you being able to even say that you don't even know. Well, first you said, we do have a very diverse staff, but I'm not sure what it looks like because I don't pay attention to people's color. I just challenge you to do your homework. Do your homework. It's nobody's responsibility to teach you why you're wrong today. And I'm hurt. I can't even, thank you. Thank you.
My name is Nefi. I work, first I work in the community. I work at a restaurant. I am a server. And I also work for Colorado People Action. I help out, knock on doors, I canvass, I talk to people. One of the first things that you might notice about me is that I'm handsome, of course. But, sorry, I was just trying to lighten the mood a little bit. I have an accent, and that made me very self-conscious. Because every time that I came to a white male or someone that has not been around someone with an accent, drop their faces, look at me, and think that I'm an idiot, just because I have an accent. And the reason I'm saying this is because the effect that could happen to me, I was so afraid to talk to people. I was so afraid to connect to people. I'm still am. It's really hard for me to connect to people because I feel like I'm going to be judged for how I sound, for how I say certain words, make fun of. I had a customer have me repeat 6 times sausage because he thought it was funny the way I sounded. And like many of you said, it's not your responsibility for everything that happens, because racism is a huge thing. It's not only you and me, it's something that has been gone from generation to generation. It's not something that it can be easily forgotten about it. Just because Obama was president doesn't mean that racism was away. And a lot of people told me that to my face, that racism doesn't exist. When I see that every single day, when I see that when people look at me, listen to my voice, and think that I'm an idiot just because I have an accent. And that, it hurts. It really is, because I know that I'm a really smart person. I know how capable I am. And your look tells me a lot more than you ever could say. And like the person before me said, it's not a responsibility to educate you, because yes, it's something that you will never understand because it will not be your experiences. What it's important is to believe the person in front of you telling you this does happen. And just because it's not experience doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you having, opening your mind, opening your hearts to everyone here. And it's really hard to talk about this stuff because most of the time they don't care. No one cares. And that's, I know it's really hard, but I understand that a lot of people do care, but it feels like it doesn't. I feel like they don't care. And I just wanted to say that thank you for coming here, thank you for listening, and I do appreciate that you taking this time for a learning opportunity. And yes, thank you everybody. I appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Alyssa Guzman. I've been living in this area for about 10 years. I honestly just came tonight to listen. I'm going to CSU Global online right now, and I'm taking a class called Race, Gender, and Ethnicity in the United States. Justin and Eli, I want to ask you guys, can I put you on the spot to ask you a question real quick, and then I'll answer too and share my answer? Even though it's not really fair that I've had more time to prepare my answer because it was part of a paper that I had to write. At what age or did you guys start thinking about race? Or do you remember when you first thought of like race or ethnicity in your life? And I know that's, or if you want me to answer first and give you guys a second to think about it. So yeah, you guys said, like, I don't see color or whatever, I don't think about it. And I never thought about it. Like, I would have a questionnaire, I never thought twice about checking white, non-Hispanic, or Caucasian. Like, I never thought about it. You guys said you don't have racism in your heart. I'm like that. I would think, I never have racism in my heart, I don't hate people. But I think it is just like ignorance or just not understanding. In my class, like, they would call it white privilege. The first time I remember learning about race was not until I was in 7th grade, and we watched like the Roots series. It's like about slavery and stuff, like if you guys are familiar with that. Then the next year, 9/11 happened when I was in 8th grade. So then there was a lot of like stereotypes and hatred surrounding that. But what I read yesterday when I was doing my research for my paper was, like, we have the privilege of not thinking, that's what white privilege is, we have the privilege of not thinking about race. Whereas it said people of color, they teach their children early on about race because they want to show them how to combat it and stand up for themselves. So I can see where you guys are coming from. You're just like, you just didn't know. I didn't know until those big events happened. Or I was in high school. I grew up in Loveland, like working at Taco Bell. And I was too scared, I wouldn't say anything, but like sometimes my Hispanic coworkers, people would say things under their breath or, say something rude. My husband
now is an immigrant from Honduras. So, like, one thing that he shared with me that I could share with all of you, he says, like, please don't call us illegal. Like, we prefer to be called undocumented. But those are things you just don't know. And I know they said, like, it's your job to educate yourself. I just fell into this class. I took a class called intercultural communication, and then I was like, I'm interested in more, because I was like, oh, it'll help me communicate with my husband better. And then, so I just want to open your eyes to that, I guess, or maybe everyone could think about that. Like, when did you first start thinking about race? Or we have the privilege of being colorblind. Like, it's unfortunate that, you know, that the ad came out and then people are so enraged and this is why we're coming together. But, like, and I agree with the speaker too that came up here and said, what's really gonna happen? Like, we need people, I'm a student, like, I'm nobody. But we need people in a position of power to take a stand and to see their privilege and to stand together. Do you guys know the answer? Did you think about it, like, when you started thinking about race?
I started thinking about it. I'm thinking about questionnaires I've filled out in school where you had to choose a race, and you don't really think about it, but you're like, yeah, there is. You're seeing it early on. I'm just trying to think of what.
I always just was like, I'm white, non-Hispanic, or I'm Caucasian. Never thought about it. But that's what I'm saying. Maybe we don't have to think about it, but this is opening our eyes. Or for me, my class opened my eyes, so we can think about it and stand together.
I agree with that sentiment. I mean, I think the first time I ever thought about race was when I was jealous of my friend Chris who didn't have to wear sunscreen. So I wasn't raised as, you know, in a racist household, and it doesn't sound like Justin was either. It's just, again, not something I prescribe to. And so it's painful. It's painful. And I feel everybody that was offended, everybody here.
And I don't have any great ideas, like, where do we go from here? I think education, like, I think being aware, that's a good first step. But I don't know, then where do we continue? How do we continue to address this problem? I don't know.
I think dialogue is a first step, and getting to know each other in our community. Also, there's a lot of great people in this room, and we'll continue with those conversations. Miguel, you won't.
My name is Miguel. I'm a business owner downtown, and I just want to say I'm highly disappointed in that ad. And I mean, the Sand Creek Massacre happened here in Colorado. I mean, the Native American population has been persecuted. And to make light of that, I don't find it funny, and I don't find it amusing. I've supported businesses here downtown, and when I see shit like that, it pisses me off. That's all I gotta say.
Jerry Shepherd, please.
I'm Jerry, and I've been in Greeley since '86. I moved here for work. I see a lot of it. I grew up in a household where my dad dropped N-bombs, and sometimes people were racially divided against each other. But what I failed to see, it wasn't just it just wasn't individual prejudices. The deck is stacked in favor of white folks. And as a white person, we have to repent of racism, repent of privilege, and to do better and to rethink systemically how we got here. Because it wasn't just something overnight with a sociopath being elected or with some unfortunate incidents. It's been kind of hardwired into our society, and we need to find a way to get out of that. So I will repent of the sin of racism and hope that we all, as white folks, can do that and to connect with people and have everybody be truly a part of what has been called beloved community. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for sharing your insights. We have a couple closing remarks.
Hi, so my name's Trisha, and I really came tonight because I have a son
He just happens to be Native American. But just in my experience, I learned early on that it takes a village to raise a child. There he is. And I've been very fortunate that I've had a really, since I moved back to Colorado, I've had a really strong support system. I've met a lot of people, and that has made me realize that I guess I'm not as open-minded as I thought I was. Just because of the fact that I am learning so much about different cultures, because we've had an influx of a lot of refugees in our community, and I feel really inspired that that is happening in Greeley. Because when I grew up in Greeley, there were only white people and Mexicans, and that's the reality. But I'm really glad that we're having this open discussion, and I'd like to invite everyone, to come together and become the village to help me raise my son, because that's what it's going to take for us to move in the direction that I know everybody deep down wants to. So thank you for coming tonight.
That is my godson. And I think that's the point of tonight. So I appreciate all of the dialogue. I appreciate that we kept it respectful, and I appreciate everyone's insight and everyone coming up to actually share their perspective. Like Tricia said, that's my godson, and it's important that we have people in leadership positions that reflect our community, which was part of the reason why I got involved in politics in the first place. I was born and raised here, never really heard my voice being represented, so I decided to take that change into my own hands. And now I actually became not only the first person of color ever elected to a statewide office from Weld County, but the first openly gay. And so that just shows that our community is changing, our community is moving in the right direction, and we just need to make sure that we keep this dialogue going. I'm actually a founding board member of the Northern Colorado Latino Foundation, and this is actually part of the reason why we started the organization in the first place, is to bring people together, to provide that open dialogue, and to give them an opportunity to actually see how underrepresented people are thinking, and to basically open those doors for that population as well. So I appreciate you all being here. I hope that we can keep this dialogue moving, and thank you, Eli and Justin, right, for being open to having this conversation. So I hope that part of the conversation really resonated with you as far as elevating people of color, because we've been tied down for a very long time. And so we need people in leadership positions to actually open those doors for us and provide us those opportunities so that we can advance, not only as a community, but as a community of color. And so I hope that you might reconsider into opening up those leadership positions in your organizations, because that's how we actually bring our communities together and promote that kind of change. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for the conversation and dialogue, and let's keep it going.